You might be sitting there thinking, I'm good on my own. No drama, no confusion, no one draining your energy. And honestly, that makes sense. But there's a difference between being capable alone and being well supported. And most people don't realize that difference until something in life forces them to, me included. In this episode, we're going to talk about why building relationships still matters even when you feel fine on your own. We're going to walk through 3 real reasons this shows up later in life, why independence can quietly turn into isolations, and how avoiding people can actually reinforce patterns that you didn't choose. If you've ever given up making new connections because you felt fine on your own, this episode is going to help you see that your life could be so much better with real relationships. It's worth it for you to get out there. Are you ready? Let's go. What's going on? My name is Coach Lee Hopkins. My pronouns are he, him, his, and you're listening to the Patterns of Possibility podcast, the podcast for late identified autistic adults who want real relationships without fake masks. Let's talk connection, clarity, and showing up as your authentic self. Now, one of the big things that drives me to do every single episode that I do is my life experience. I really do speak from my life experience, and what I've learned from being disconnected from people, including my family, and having difficulty making friends over the years and business relationships all over the place, I realized that I'm going to need something later. There's a reason for people to make connections and friends, and I was missing that. I was missing it because I was so disillusioned with the idea that I couldn't do it easily like I thought other people could. But here are 3 real reasons why you will need to make real connections and have someone understand, appreciate, and accept you in your life. The first one that I found is that you're going to need help later. Like right now, in your 20s, if you're in your 20s, your 30s, and you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, I can do anything. If you're an able-bodied person, you can walk, you're financially independent, you can pay all your bills, you don't need anyone else. Right now, you don't have to cook for yourself. You can order out. It doesn't matter. You don't have to reach out to other people. That's what it feels like right now. If that's your reality right now, then it feels like, well, why complicate it with other people, bringing other dramas and traumas and feelings in the space when you don't want to deal with that and you don't have to. There's no reason right now for you to have to. But right now, you might be able to handle everything on your own. Your schedule, your problems, your decisions, but life changes. Life changes. For me, I've had a few scenarios where I had to do really hard things on my own. For example, I needed surgery, and I had no one to take me to the hospital. No big deal. Get a little Lyft or Uber, whatever. But then I needed surgery. I needed help post-op. I needed help after the surgery. I needed somebody to take me home, and you can't really get a lift to get you home in those cases. And so I had to figure some things out to get myself home and then take care of myself because there was no one there and there was no one coming to check on me. I didn't even think people knew that I had the surgery because I was so disconnected from people. I was so disconnected from people. So what about you? If you get sick, and not just a cold either, you have something that's not extreme, but it takes you out for a week. Who's going to bring you food? Who's going to check in on you? Who's going to help you when your energy is gone? Or even if your car breaks down or you go on a date and no one knows where you're going. That's not a very safe situation. If your life is built on I'll handle it myself, then there's just no backup. So relationships aren't just about connection. They're also support systems that you can actually use. The next reason that you would need to connect with people is to heal your own trauma. See, isolation and reinforces trauma responses. So a lot of people out there who feel, quote, fine alone didn't arrive there randomly. They learned it. I learned it. I learned that I had to be on my own. I couldn't ask for any support. If I did, I'd be laughed at or I'd be scoffed at and criticized for asking for that. So I just learned to do it better. I just learned to do it myself. So I learned that Doing it myself would stop the unnecessary chatter and criticism that I didn't want in the first place. Yeah, the situation that I had to deal with, whatever it was, when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, when I was growing up, it was hard, but it was made even harder by asking for help. And so I learned that, and I learned not to ask for help. So the system I adapted was less people equal less risk. And again, that totally makes sense. But here's what happens. If you avoid relationships, you never get new data about yourself and how you move in the world. You assume people will judge you if you share something personal, so you stop sharing, but you don't take the risk. You don't take the risk of knowing if they're actually going to judge you or if they're actually interested and excited to know you. And for this, I tell my clients, I teach my clients this skill of strategic vulnerability to help them open up, to minimize the risk of getting hurt, but to maximize the confidence that you have in sharing what you're going to share so that you can make an authentic connection. It's not small talk. It's not boring weather stuff. But it's also not trauma dumping, because that's where you're going to get the most hurt. If you share something that's deep and important to you and painful to you, and people respond like, oh, that wasn't such a big deal, or they criticize you and they say you could have dealt it on your own, or I don't want to hear this, is just too much for me, you're going to feel even more hurt. So it doesn't create the kind of connection that you're looking for. But what I talk about is meaningful connection. Like meaningful conversations will create those kinds of connections that you're looking for. Meaningful conversations about things that are interesting and exciting to you. But if you don't share those things with other people, if you don't open up, you're not going to have an opportunity to connect. And the reason why you don't open up is because you've been traumatized. You've had all these experiences where you can't see any other possibility that they would care and they would be interested, so you just don't try. It's all the trauma and the pain that you've had from when you were younger, manifesting as it is today, over and over and over again, until you decide that you'd like to start talking to people, until you decide to open up. And when you open up, you'll get new experiences and new data about how you show up in the world and how much people actually like you. And finally, the third thing that I discovered is that long-term isolation can really change your mood. It can really change your mood. You might not feel lonely, but that doesn't mean that isolation is not affecting you. It is. It just shows up differently. You have less motivation, less energy, and less interest in doing things that you used to enjoy. For example, after you finish work, you might get on your phone and scroll. You might watch something, or you might just go to bed, and you repeat. Do it over and over again. No conflict, no stress, but also no stimulation, no shared experiences, no moments that get you out of your own head. So you're sitting there watching the new season of Bridgerton and you're super excited. I don't know any of the characters, but hey, that's the show that came to my mind. And you're thinking about how amazing it is. Maybe it's the costume design. Maybe it's the way the show is run, and you want to talk to somebody about it because you're extra super stimulated and excited about this. And there's no one. No one's watching the TV show with you. No one's interested with you. You go to the forums. Okay, you can go to Reddit and talk to people there and post your ideas there, but there is something different about connecting with people in real life that know you, that know that you like more than just Bridgerton, that you know what you like Bridgerton and why, and so much more. And without that kind of stimulation in your life to keep you moving, to keep you looking forward to something, everything's going to feel kind of flat. The longer you stay isolated, the harder it is to actually come out. You forget how to do all the peopling that you've ever done before because you just don't have to, or you just haven't had to. And it makes it hard for you to make that adjustment. When you're doing something for so long, you get into the rut and you just want things to be that way until it becomes unbearably uncomfortable that you have to do something else. But you don't have to wait until these things happen to you. You don't have to wait until you need help to start looking for friends, looking for connection. Because as in the professional world, they say your net worth is your network. And no one wants you to reach out to them when you need something. You have to actually put energy and time into these relationships. No one was going to come for me when I had surgery because I didn't really put time in building relationships with people. And so I've learned that while I'm well, while I'm healthy, while I'm interested, while I'm having fun, while I have energy, I need to go out there. I need to connect with people because I'm not getting any younger and I'm going to need some help and support. And besides just needing other people, I want to be known. I want to be cared for. I want to feel connected with other people just as much as they want to connect with me. And one of the other things that I use to get myself out of my head and into connections with other people is that this might sound kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It might sound kind of big-headed or narcissistic or something like that, where I have a big sense of self. And I would say that somebody out there is missing me. That's the thing. Somebody out there is missing me. Somebody out there wants to know and connect with me, and they've been waiting and they've been looking for someone just like me to talk about logic puzzles and play board games and eat ramen and random other things that I've had happen in their life that they can relate to, that only I can really relate to. They're looking for me just as much as I'm looking for them. That kind of connection. That gets me up. That gets me believing that there's something out there. There's someone out there for me. And I'm going to meet tons of amazing people on the way to find that person. And by the way, it doesn't have to be a romantic partner, because I am not describing a romantic partner. I'm talking about a close connection. It can be a romantic partner, but that's not the caveat. It's just somebody who's fun, you enjoy their company, and they're going to support you, and you will do the same. Your relationship will be reciprocal. I believe that person is out there. So I don't want to repeat these patterns of isolation and this trauma that I've had before, just because my life before now was full of disappointment, was full of disconnection, was full of people who criticized me, doesn't mean that my life has to be that way going forward. I can consciously make a change. I can consciously do things differently, right? And you can too. So the 3 things I talked about today were: you are going to need help later. That's one reason to get out there. Isolation reinforces these trauma responses. You don't have to reinforce them. You can change your life. And long-term isolation can shift your mood. So change your mood, go out, and enjoy connecting with other people. Now, finally, I want to say that this isn't about forcing yourself to be social. It's about recognizing that independence and connection can exist together. I am not a person who calls and talks on the phone every single day with people. I reach out to people, but I'm not talking to them all the time. I have other things to do, and I like attending to myself. I like doing things on my own. But when I want to go out, when I want to talk, when I want to connect, I know that there are people there for me. And vice versa. When they need that from me, I have that for them. Because this is the relationship, this is the life I want to build now. It's not full of isolation. So if you've been telling yourself, I'm fine on my own, I want to ask you this. Where in your life would support actually make things easier? And what would it look like to build just one connection that feels simple, clear, and low pressure? What would that look like for you? You don't have to go from being isolated to deeply connected overnight. You can start small. One conversation, one person, one moment of being seen. And if you want help figuring out how to do that in a way that actually fits you, that's exactly what we do inside of my coaching. Go to patternsofpossibility.com and find Get Coaching and have a 30-minute conversation with me. I'll give you some actionable steps on how you can start getting out of your head and into conversations. You can connect with people even if you haven't done anything like this for years. Somebody out there is waiting to connect with you. Believe it. All right, let's wrap this up. If you've heard something today that has helped you see yourself in relationships a little differently, then I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can leave a comment here, or you can reach me at patternsofpossibility@gmail.com. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Also, if you could take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe, it really helps more people find these conversations and join our growing community. And speaking of community, if you're looking for a space where you can express yourself and be met with curiosity rather than rejection as a late diagnosed autistic adult, then come visit thepatternsofpossibility.com and find your community there. Learn more about what we're doing. We're connecting with others. You can be yourself and authenticity in this space. Find other people who've had your experiences, who know what you're going through, so you don't have to do this alone. Until next time, take care of your energy, and remember that connection starts when you allow yourself to be seen.